Welcome to the first edition of Chat Café, a show where we explore insightful, interesting, and thought-provoking human interest topic. I am your host, Nora, and today we embark on a journey to divorce, or through divorce. Yes, you heard me right, through divorce. We are here to shed more light, demystify the legal processes, and debunk the myths surrounding the topic. Today, I have with me a lawyer who doesn't like to receive a lot of accolades, who has in-depth knowledge on the legal processes of divorce. She's done so many videos on YouTube, TikTok, and the rest on the topic, offering an insightful knowledge and then expert advice for those who are lost in the maze. Welcome, Ernestina Oboche.
Thank you.
You look amazing. What's your secret?
Secrets?
Yes.
God.
Hey.
And I have a lot of love from people around me.
Whenever you say what's your secret, people, the first thing you hear is God.
And it's true. It's true for most of us. And then you pursue peace of mind as well. I pursue it.
Yeah,
it helps a lot.
Peace of mind is everything.
Yeah.
So we keep hearing of divorce here and there. It's very popular now. Is it also popular in the legal field?
Is it in the legal field? It's not as popular as you see it on social media. It's as popular as land cases and all the other cases, criminal cases as well. But then with the emergence of social media, now everything sells, especially when it's bad news. And then romantic matters and sexual matters and marriage matters sells more.
Bad news sells, actually.
Exactly. And so that's why you hear it more often. But it's not like a pandemic that when you go to the legal fraternity or in the courtroom, everybody is divorcing and all the cases you do are divorces. No, that's not how it is.
Okay. And I heard there are types of divorces. Can you run us through the types and then the processes?
Yeah, so basically there are 3 types of divorces, and that's because there are 3 types of marriages.
Right.
So we have the ordinance marriage, or what we call marriage under Part 3 of the Marriages Act. That is what we call the ordinance marriage. So that's what you do in the courtroom or the church wedding and all of that. So that's one type of marriage. Then we have the Islamic marriage or the Muslim one. That one, they do it in accordance with the Islamic marriage, Islamic custom. Then we have the customary marriage. That is what we do in our homes. If you're an Akan, you do it in the Akan system, and then if you're fancy to. So the same way you went for the divorce at home, you have the option to go and divorce at home. And that's one type of dissolution of the marriage. The same way for the Islamic one too, they also have a system or a way of dissolving the marriage in their Islamic community. And that's another system. But then we have the last one, which is the court one. That one is available to everybody, whether you did the Islamic marriage or the customary marriage or the court one or the ordinance marriage. So you can go to court to dissolve any of the marriages, but then you also have an option available to you to dissolve your marriage under custom if you did customary law marriage only. Or Islamic law marriage. You can use the Islamic system to dissolve your marriage.
So my question is, the same way I married, is it the same process I'd have to use to dissolve my marriage? Is it the same way?
So it is the same way for only ordinance marriages.
Okay.
So if you do an ordinance marriage or the court wedding, what we know as a court wedding in Ghana, by all means you have to go to the court to dissolve the marriage. But then if you do a customary marriage or an Islamic marriage, you have the option of doing it at home using your custom or the Islamic system, or you can go to court, and you can go to court as well. So you have 2 options available to you if you do a customary marriage or an Islamic marriage.
Okay.
But then if you do a court wedding, the only option you have to dissolve your marriage is through the court system.
So you can actually have the court marriage without doing anything traditional?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. So how long does it take for a typical divorce to go through? I'm hearing it takes some takes more than 1 year and all that.
Okay, so this means we are talking about the dissolution or the divorce in the courts system.
Yeah, the one in church and then in the court.
Yes. How long does it take? It depends. It depends on so many things. It depends on the parties.
Okay.
And whether you would be able to settle your issues. I mean, when you go to court for divorce, it's not just divorce that you're going for. There may be children involved, there may be properties involved. And so if both parties are able to resolve some of the issues at home, and so maybe we have agreed that the children should live with the woman or the man, that means you'll not burden the courts to lead evidence to decide on these matters, right?
Okay.
So if you're able to resolve and make an agreement that, oh, we have decided that we will share our property in this manner, then that would also help. It means you'll make the case go faster.
Yeah.
It depends on your lawyers as well. Would they be able to file their case on time? It depends also on the courts. Is the court overburdened with cases? If the judge's diary is full and they have a lot of cases, that means your case may be adjourned in 1 month interval. And so that may take some time. But ordinarily, if you file your terms of settlement, which shows that maybe your children should live here, the property should be this way, then within 4 months minimum, you can dissolve your marriage in courts.
Okay.
But then if you want to stretch every matter and say we are going to lead evidence to prove every case, then it may take more than 1 year, more than 2 years. Sometimes people stay in court for 5 years for divorce.
Wow.
Depending on their own actions.
Okay. What are the factors that come to play when you are dividing the properties?
Okay. So ordinarily, the law says that immediately you get married, every property that you make from the day you marry till the end of the marriage is presumed to be jointly owned by both parties. So it means that you marry today and
the man has his properties automatically is mine.
No. So from today that you married till maybe 20 years time, every property that is made by either of the parties is presumed to be jointly owned by both parties. So it's a presumption. We presume that both of you made it together.
Okay.
So the man may buy a car or the woman may buy a car, but because we are saying both of you are one, we are presuming that whatever car you buy is for your wife as well. Whatever car your wife buys is for you as well. Now that presumption can be rebutted. It can be rebutted means that you can lead evidence to show that, oh, this one is not for both of us. It's just for my wife, and this one is just for my husband. And there are ways you can show that. You can show that it was a gift that was given to you, maybe by your father through an inheritance, or your friend gave you this gift. Or that during your marriage, you guys did everything to show that we are all getting our properties separately. There's a way you can show that. You can also show that, you know, this particular property, there was a mark on it. I actually told my wife to give me some money or something to help me get it. She said, oh, I'm not interested in maybe beer bars. So I am not going to contribute anything at all to beer bar. She disassociated herself from something of that sort. You know, in everything that she did, she made you know that I am not interested in this one. You can lead evidence to show that this one is for you alone. You
told for it, so it's yours alone.
So everything you make outside of the marriage before you married is for you. But then whatever you make within the marriage, it is presumed to be property owned by both of you.
You know, I had this perception that if I am married to someone, the man's property is automatically mine. My property, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So you are saying that if there's a case of divorce, me, the lady, do I have to also bring my properties to the table?
Exactly. Every property you make as a woman is presumed to be for both you and your husband. So it works both ways. It's not just one way.
But the man married me, so why would my property?
You married each other.
In Ghana, we say the man married the woman.
In law, you married each other, and both of you are one.
Okay. Yeah. So what are the processes of, you know, safeguarding your finances and your properties, so that in the case of divorce, you would know that this belongs to me?
That's a very good question. Now, before you marry, anything you get before the marriage, that one is your property, so it doesn't count. But whilst you are in the marriage, if you are all marrying well, then we shouldn't be worried about, will I want to share with my spouse whether I make a car or whether I get a car or I buy a land, because we are working together towards one goal. You have children, you have a future together. Nobody is thinking about divorce. So that should not be your goal. If you make calculated efforts that I'm trying to hide my property, I don't want to do this, when you come to the courts want to make sure that everybody's contribution, whether it was financial or it was non-financial, is well protected. So we are in a setting where people contribute non-financially towards the property of someone. That can be maybe a man giving an advice. Maybe my husband is a lawyer, and then he gives me a legal advice concerning the property that I'm going to acquire. Then I come back to say he didn't support me in any way. That legal advice that he gave me can be quantified into money.
Yeah.
The same way, maybe you are building a house. Your spouse did not give you money, but then maybe the person was carrying blocks, or his brothers and sisters were coming to assist you in a particular way. The services that they provide. The same way a woman or a man who says, I want to be at home and help take care of the children. That contribution can be quantified in money, but nobody does that. And in the course of the marriage, we do not use receipts to prove that I gave you this or I gave you that. Sometimes you just
services you can't prove them.
Exactly. Sometimes you just dash money to your husband or your wife. You don't even calculate because you know that you have one goal. So every attempt that you make at hiding your property or making sure somebody else does not get your property is wrong. And the court will make sure that it does not happen unless you have strong evidence to show that that was not the intention.
Okay, so I want to refer you to a question you answered.
Yeah.
You were like, if we marry, anything that any of the spouses starts acquiring after the marriage becomes our property. So if I buy a car after the marriage, it becomes my husband's property as well as mine. I want to ask, if I'm building a house and then I'm supposed to complete in December, and then I marry in November, I'm supposed to complete in December. When I complete in December, does it mean that because I've completed like 90% of the whole project, does it mean that my husband also have to? It becomes my husband's.
Okay. So it depends on the level at which you were. And then he may have a share in it, but then it may not be 50-50. So when we say you have a share in something, sometimes it's presumed that it is equal share. But then that is not always the case, because somebody may contribute 1% to it. And that 1% can be his or her interest in it. And so in this case, maybe you were at the lintel level, or however they call it, and then your husband comes in and assists you financially or non-financially. He can lead evidence to prove that, oh, I contributed 2% to the building of
Let's
this
say
one.
he didn't contribute anything,
So
but we are married.
So you have to show that although you were married, he did not do anything in respect of this property, and it was your personal property. And you were the only one who was using your own finances and everything to support it.
Or better still, you might as well shift the wedding date for it so that you finish building before.
If you want to do that, but then why would you hold on to love just because of property? I mean, no.
Love is not everything. No.
I know, right?
So let's just jump straight to the myths. There's so many myths surrounding divorce.
Yeah.
So the first myth is that divorce won't be granted if the marriage is less than 2 years. Is it true?
No, it's not true. But there are some conditions that the law expects you to show if the marriage is less than 2 years.
Okay.
You know, we don't want everybody to be running to court within the first 2 years of marriage that please dissolve my marriage.
So I had some divorce like 2 months, 3 months.
Yes, it is possible. Even if it is 1 day old, then you can come and show us that there's extreme form of abuse. In law, we call it some substantial hardship or depravity. So you can show there's some extreme form of abuse towards you, and so you cannot live with the person again. But then before you can do that, you have to go to the court and say, I am coming to seek permission to even bring the divorce in court because of this and this and this reason. Then the court will give you the permission. Now you come and show the reasons why you want the divorce. So even if it is 1 day old and the abuse is so extreme, you can come to court.
Oh, okay. And there's another myth. It says that whoever starts the divorce or whoever brings up the divorce gets nothing. Is it true?
Okay. So I see this in some customs. When you go that you want the divorce through the customary law, they will say that, oh, because you came, then you have to compensate the man. It happens in some customs. In my personal opinion, that is very unfair, because it is possible for someone to be abused consistently in the marriage, and the person says that I don't want to be in this marriage again. Then when the person comes to the family members that I want the divorce, you have to look out for why is the divorce coming up. Is it just because I want to come for the divorce? So in some customs that may exist, but that is very wrong in my opinion, because somebody's actions may be leading to the divorce. But in the courtroom, we don't do that. We don't say just because you came to court first, you have to pay some compensation, or you don't get anything at all from the divorce. We don't punish people for coming out that I want a divorce. We don't do that
I think
at
the
all.
reason why people also do that is, you know, human beings, some people like to take advantage of certain opportunities. Yes, so if I marry, say, Bill Gates right now, and then tomorrow I said, oh, I'm going to divorce Bill, he didn't do anything, but I just want to go. I just want to go. And I expect the court to grant me that freedom.
So just like
and grant me some properties too.
That's okay. Just like I said, we don't punish people for coming for divorce. We do not withhold what you are entitled to, whether it is property you contributed to, or whether it is some spousal support you deserve. We don't just say we are withholding that from you just because you're the one who was first to come to court. We don't do that. If we do that, we discourage people from coming out of abusive marriages. And so if you're able to show that you are deserving of spousal support, or the alimony that we usually call it, or the lump sum settlement, we can give it to you. And if you can show that you actually contributed, whether financially or non-financially, we can give you what you're entitled to in the property. But then we will not just deny you just because you came to court.
Okay. There's another myth. Does every divorce have to start with a separation?
A separation, a physical separation?
Yes, physical. So do you have to move away from the person before or you can still stay together and go through the divorce process?
Yes, it is possible for you to be living with your spouse under the same roof. But the evidence that you show to the court will show that you guys were not living as man and wife.
Okay.
Because there may be two rooms. The man may be living in the next room, you may be living in the other room. Or you may even be living in the same room, but you don't do anything together as man and wife. Maybe people live under the same roof, and you'll be shocked to see that for 5 years or 2 years, no sex. So you don't have to be separated before. You can come and lead evidence to show that you guys are not living as husband and wife, and then we can grant you the divorce.
Can you still be married, still doing your marriage, kind of things, and then go through the process of divorce, or you have to be separate or not doing certain things that married people do before?
Great. So in court, there's only one ground for divorce. You have to show that your marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation or repairs. And to show that, you have 6 grounds that you can come under, or 6 factors that you can use to show that. One of them is adultery. So you may be living in the same house, you may be doing everything, but then you realize that the person has committed adultery. At that moment, you can come out for divorce. The person may desert you. The person may have abandoned you as a wife. It is possible that you may be living in the same room, but the person has abandoned you as a wife. Nothing at all of conjugal matters happened between you. No wife and husband conversations, nothing at all. You can come and show that the marriage has broken down. The person may be acting unreasonably. Maybe unreasonable behavior may cover so many things. The person may be asking for sex in the wrong places. The person may be asking for a threesome when you don't want it. The person may be asking you to do things that are not in your capacity or you don't feel like doing. And you think it's an unreasonable behavior. You cannot live with the person. You can come and show it. So it's possible that you may be living under the same roof, but the activity that is happening between you is not something that you are comfortable with. You can come and say that I don't want it. And then there are cases that there is a separation. The person may be living in another country or another town. You can also come for divorce. Maybe if it is more than 2 years or if it's more than 5 years, then you can come to court.
Nearly asked that if someone is outside of the country, one of the parties is outside of the country, how fast is it to go through the divorce? And then is it even possible, or does the person have to come to town? And if it's happening like that, do you seek for the divorce in the particular country you married in, or you can do it anywhere?
So if you're in Ghana and you're a Ghanaian, or you're a resident in Ghana, or either of the spouses is a Ghanaian and resident in Ghana, then you can do the divorce in Ghana courts. And so even if one spouse is outside of the country, you can still start the proceedings here in Ghana and serve them with the court processes. We have a way of serving people who live outside the country with the court processes so that they can respond. Sometimes that spouse who is outside the country can also appoint someone through a power of attorney. And then they can stand in for the divorce proceedings to go on.
Just like how marriage is done.
Exactly.
Okay. And how fast is it? Is it fast?
It all depends on what we discussed earlier. The availability of the parties, the courts, diary, whether they have a lot of cases, whether you settle it before the case starts.
Definitely. So assuming both parties married outside of the country and now they are residents here in Ghana,
they can still do it in Ghana.
Can still do
because
it
they are Ghanaians, because they are ordinarily resident here in Ghana. If you have been resident here in Ghana for the past 3 years and you're not even a Ghanaian, you even have the option to go to court for a divorce here.
Okay. I see you mentioning, you're mentioning court. Does it mean that, I mean, court is also for, there's this stereotype about courts that only rich people go to court. So if I don't have money for a lawyer, if I don't have any, if I'm assuming I'm poor, does it mean I cannot divorce?
Oh no. Divorce is not meant for rich people alone. Poor people can also go to court for divorce. There is an option where the government of Ghana has set up a commission, a legal aid commission. They provide legal services for poor people who do not have money. And even if you cannot pay for the filing fees in courts, there's a way where we can exclude you from paying the filing fees. So there are some people who are so poor, they earn below the minimum wage, they don't have any source of income, but then there's an option available to them. And this legal aid commission is everywhere in the region, everywhere in all the regions in Ghana. So you go to their office, you show them reasons why you cannot pay for a lawyer or pay for even the legal fees, and then they can give you that assistance.
Wow, I never knew.
Oh yes, it is.
This is good information.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's this other one. If someone is married and customary, they just the engagement, and the person wants to divorce, will the person have to still go through the court processes?
So you have an option of doing it at home or going to court. You decide.
Okay.
And sometimes you divorce at home, but then the family are not able to share the properties between you, and they are not able to determine who the children should go and live with. You can go to court for the court to decide on that. You know what, our marriage has actually ended. We have dissolved it at home. But then the issue of the property and the children are still hanging, so the court should assist you to solve that one, and then they will assist you on that one.
Wow. Well, that was a very interesting discussion, and this is where we draw the curtains down. I enjoyed every bit of it. Very, very insightful. I know you picked something. The next one promises to be much, much better. We'll be bringing Lawyer Tina to this show. Definitely we'll be bringing her to this show again. She has a lot of knowledge to share. Visit her social media handles. You can visit Lawyer Tina on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and you see her, watch all her insightful videos. Until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.